Hi everyone, it's your favorite Atomic Blonde here. How you all doing? I hope you're well. Belated happy 4th of July to anybody across the pond. I hope you're having a great 4th of July weekend. And there's plenty of food and drink flowing over there. So I hope everybody's been good. Sorry again, I'm probably gonna have to apologize a lot as I have explained. My work's pretty crazy busy at the moment, which means lots of long hours, working great all ends of the day, which hasn't left a lot of time for watching TV or coming on and chatting to you guys. So I will do as much as I can. I'm hoping things will start to settle down a little bit and I can try and get back to once a week. It would be nice if I could do more, but we'll see how we go. I might just have to do some one-off specials if I want to talk about something. Excuse me, air in my mouth also. It's great to be back anyway. The British summer is as crazy as always. I mean, I don't know if you can hear the howling wind, but it's been raining all yesterday, today. So that does give me the opportunity to come and do this because I ain't venturing out there, let me tell you. So, anywho, let's get to it, shall we? Cool. Right. Oh, hey, that's a new view, isn't it? Let's get to the usual one, shall we? Yeah, you don't want to see my face that close up. So it's finally arrived. A few weeks in. House of the Dragon. I really want you to do some standalone reviews of this and really get into it, but as I said, just haven't got time. So I just wanted to have a few thoughts on here. What I might try and do is like a series review at the end, do a season 2 review, so I can go into a bit more detail on these. But I have to say, personally, I'm really enjoying it. I have seen a few complaints of people saying it's a little bit slow, the pacing. We thought we were going to go straight in. And I'm glad we haven't. I really am. I mean, I think the writing is still on par. The acting is still fantastic, which is great. Season 2 is always a difficult one, right? But for me, so far, so good. You know, I think it is important that we saw Rhaenyra, grieving for her son and, just reacting like a human being, and taking that time. And we kind of see the repercussions of that. She makes an off-the-cuff comment about wanting the head of one of the Queen's children. Which of course Daemon took completely literally. Hires a couple of guys, I think called Blood and Cheese. One's like Ratcatcher, and they literally go and decapitate the child of the Queen, which pretty gross, pretty gruesome. And obviously this just accelerates, and it's just a spiral of events therein. Rhaenyra is desperately trying to prevent war, even though that boat has sailed. And basically in the last episode, everybody, the realization is there, and Alice is just like, we are way past talking, too much has happened. And we are at, you might be trying to prevent war, but it's already started. It's happening. And also we get the big realization, spoilers people, spoilers, so plug your ears, that she manages to speak to her in the church alone, and the revelation that basically all of this war has started, and she usurped the throne based on a misunderstanding that Daenerys was talking about Aegon the Conqueror and the story and the Song of Ice and Fire, and he never wanted Aegon to be on the throne. He stood by, to his last breath, that he would defend that it should be her. And yes, Alison has kind of has that realization now that she's caused all of this, and the death of her son, Bailey's son, and lost her grandchild, all because of a misunderstanding. So there's been some great acting, some great twists and turns. I think the next episode is key, though. We need to go full throttle in now. There's everything And I think stay true to the characters, that she would try and prevent war. You know, she has the softer quality that her father had, which is also, you know, it's great strength, but also her weakness. And Damon tries to warn her of this and sort of says, like, you know, this isn't going to end well if you can't toughen up, basically, and make the hard decisions and go to war. So, yes, I'm really looking forward to Monday's episode. I think this is where we just start seeing some battles, and it's sort of full throttle to the end of the series. I think it's only 8 episodes this year. I think I had 10 last year. For that, so they could get, I think, the show out quicker, which is fine with me. So yeah, very much enjoying season 2. Really relieved to see that the quality hasn't dropped. It's always far more difficult. You know, you've got that time pressure. You had plenty of time to do season 1 and write it and refine it. You got very little time to, you know, do season 2 and get it shot. So really pleased with what I've seen so far. Very much enjoying it, and very excited for Monday's episode. So I think, as I've said on this channel before, I've never watched Game of Thrones. But as this is a kind of, you know, prequel to that, you don't need to have watched Game of Thrones. So if you're sort of umming and ahhing and thinking, oh, I haven't got time to watch 8 seasons of something, you don't need to. But go check out this show. It is fantastic. It is violent. It is bloody. There's swearing. There's gore, but the acting is just fantastic, and so is the writing. So well done to the showrunner for maintaining the quality. Let's hope it just continues to go well and we get a really, really good ending. So fingers crossed on that one. So Beverly Hills Cop 4, Axel F. I think when we heard that they were making this, we all let out a groan going, oh no, especially after the disaster that was Coming to America 2, which is frankly just unwatchable. It's so bad. So I braced myself yesterday and sat down to watch this, and I have to say I quite enjoyed it. It was fine, you know. Again, not the, you know, it's not a patch on the first film or the second film. I think it's better than the third one, but by the third one, you know, it was getting a bit, you know, retrodden ground. It does sort of capture that 80s vibe. There's lots of the original soundtrack in this. So it's quite weird watching a 2024 film with all this 80s music in it. But I like a bit of 80s. So that was, you know, grew up in the 80s and the 90s. So right up my street. The pacing and the story is, you know, it does feel like a Beverly Hills Cop film. You know, the original characters are back with like Eddie Murphy, but you've also got Taggart and Rosewood, which are great to see. You know, not seeing them in anything for a very long time, the actors. And yeah, I mean, it's a harmless romp, right? It does what it says on the tin. It is very shot and paced like a Beverly Hills Cop film. There's a couple of cringe lines in there, but you got Serge back, and there's a lot of sort of retreading some of the old jokes, especially like with Serge that you can't pronounce. That, you know, he's like Hackwell, and we said we've got Abbott, Detective Abbott, and we do have a bit of a. It starts sort of playing out like a typical like bad dad trope. You know, he's estranged from his daughter. His daughter's a lawyer. And it's a bit like, oh, I roll, but it's actually about them. Like they end up sort of obviously spoiler, sort of reconciling through the course of the film and becoming closer and stuff. So, and I think it's like a case of he wasn't so much a bad dad, but yeah, it was a little bit, oh, here we go. But you know, I think they do redeem it well, and he does start to build like a nice, you know, a relationship with his daughter again towards like by the end of the film, which was good to see. You know, there were some very funny bits and sort of laugh out loud bits. But yeah, I mean, like I say, it's not a patch on the first one, but I actually enjoyed it. I mean, like sat down after work yesterday, you know, left my brain at the door, what was left of it, and just really enjoyed it. I just thought it was fun. It was fine. You know, there's a few cringe moments, and you don't think about the plot too much. But you know, Kevin Bacon is the the big bad in it, and you know he always does a great job. Kevin Bacon, you know what you're going to get, and he plays it really well. So, but it's great to see the gang back together, and it's definitely open, I guess, for another one based on how they've left it if they want to. But yeah, there's quite a few callbacks to the original films, and even one that there's taking the mickey actually that the third film wasn't that good, and there's kind of a line in there that he's been arrested and he's been interviewed, they're going through his file, and he's like, oh, you're here in 84 and blah blah blah, and back in 90 whatever it was when they got Beverly Hills Cop 3, and he kind of made a comment, I can't remember exactly what it was, but sort of saying, oh, like sort of retreading old ground or something by the third time you got here. So basically just saying the film wasn't very good, so fine. But yeah, I recommend it. But if you like the Beverly Hills Cop franchise, do go check it out. I think it's worth a watch. It is better than 3. Yeah, it's just a nice certain like Friday night after work film. So check it out. Awesome. So this one, Supercell. It's a Netflix original. I had this on my coming soon a few months ago to say go check this out. It's set in South London, all black cast. And at the time I said, look, it looks interesting. I don't know if it's going to be any good. I don't know how political it's going to be. It could be like, but I'm going to check it out. And I did. And I have to say, I really enjoyed it. I thought it's not a perfect show, but do we get perfect shows these days? Not really, but it was very enjoyable. I think the biggest complaint was pacing for me. I can't remember how many episodes there were. I think it was 8. And it takes pretty much all 8 episodes to set up all. So each episode is like a focus on a different character of the Supercell. And it took quite a long time. I mean, it's good that they've done a lot of character development, a lot of backstory, and kind of really built it up. But I think it just took a bit too long to get to the kind of the revelations towards the end of the show. That's probably my biggest complaint. But it's definitely worth sticking with. The premise is you got this guy, and he's just sort of going about his business, you know. He's got a girlfriend, and they're getting married, and I think she's quite successful, and their lives are sort of trundling along, and then there's an incident, and all of a sudden he's sort of transports through time, and basically their eyes glow yellow, and he transports through time. And initially he's like obviously a bit taken aback by this, and sort of like, what the bloody hell's going on? And then over the course we get introduced to 5 different characters, and each one of them gets this yellow eye flash, but they all have like different abilities, and they're all from like different walks of life. You know, what I did like about this, and I think it's a black cast written, I assume, by a black man. I think it's called Batman, who sort of wrote and directed this. I don't know much about him. I should probably look it up. Is that it's authentic, right? So yes, you've got black characters, but you've got believable black characters. You've got, this guy who's very dependable, works really hard. He's like an Amazon delivery driver kind of thing. And so he's got a lovely relationship with his girlfriend, who he adores. But then you've got another character who's head of a gang in South London, and is like knife crime and gang fighting and drugs and things like that. You've got another guy who in his youth, and again you find out why, but he ended up going to prison, but he's generally not a bad guy. He's sort of wrong place, wrong time kind of thing. But now he's got a criminal record, he can't get a job, and he's trying to support, he's separated or divorced from his wife, and I think they were married, but he's trying to build a relationship with his son and pay maintenance. And obviously, if he doesn't pay maintenance, his wife won't let him see his son. But so he initially doesn't declare he's got a prison record to get a job. But then as soon as they find out, he gets fired, and then tries to be honest, and then he doesn't get the job. So he's basically a good guy just trying to do the right thing, but it gets increasingly harder for him. And the final character is you got a young lad who's like the Flash. He can run really fast. And he's like dealing dope with his best mate, and you find like it's quite sad that his mum remarried, and basically you get the impression that he's from a previous relationship, and the guy just doesn't want him around, and he's mixed race, and he basically calls effectively stepfather's racist, that he doesn't want him there. And it's quite heartbreaking actually, his mother, you know, to have the nice house and the nice lifestyle with her 2 kids with him, basically has nothing to do with her own son, which is really sad, because he's like, you know, good kid, just trying to make his own way. And then you've got a nurse, and she's you know, she works really hard, she's a nurse, and you know, is trying to get promoted, and she lives with her sister who's doing like a dissertation and stuff. So they're all very diverse characters, and you know, they're not all tropes. But what's really good to see is like they didn't shy away from the gangs and the knife crime, because it is part of I mean, at least for me, I mean, I know, but you know, part of culture. It does go on. No one's shying away from the fact that this stuff goes on. No one's shying away from, okay, just because he's black and he's got a criminal record, you know, that doesn't make them a bad person or something. So I really didn't know whether there was, how heavy they were going to lean into. Was it going to be a lot of, you know, things about racism, or, you know, sort of lots of tropes or things that we're seeing at the moment in terms of how black people are portrayed. And it was really, really refreshing that there's none in this, none at all. There was a scene where right at the start, and the main character is driving along, and he basically picks up his girlfriend, and he's in this blue convertible BMW, and he's bought it for her. And I thought, oh, we're going to get a scene now where they get pulled over by the police or something. None of that. None of that, to my absolute surprise and pleasure. They just told a story, an entertaining story. And like, you got right behind these characters, and like, you cared about them, you cared kind of, you know, what happened to them. So what happens is the main character, like I say, he transports into the future, and what initially happens is there's some sort of traumatic event that triggers their powers, but obviously once they're triggered, they're there. And he ends up going into the future, and he sees all these characters, and his future self says, like, you got to find these people. If you don't find these people, you know, your girlfriend's going to die. She's going to die in 3 months' time or something. But you can stop it. If you find these people, you can stop the big bad, and who kills your girlfriend. And well, they're due to get married to his wife, and he basically comes back. So then this is where the story is him trying to find the rest of the supercell. And the reason and the thing that it does explain really well is the reason why it's an all black cast. Is that these powers are connected to sickle cell? Yeah, sickle cell, I think, yeah. Which is obviously an illness that only black people suffer from. So all of them have a parent that has this disease, and they are immune from it, or they haven't developed it. So yeah, let me just check that. And the lead character in sorry, I'm just going to advert over what I'm trying to read, which is very helpful. Oh, now let's close it down. Yeah, talk amongst yourselves. There we go. Right, cool. Yeah, so Tosin Cole, who's the lead character, he plays Michael, who can teleport. I believe he's the guy that was in. Excuse me. That's not coming up, which is not the name. Yeah, so the lead character, Michael, who's played by Tosin Cole, I believe that's how you say his name, is the guy that was in Doctor Who with Jodie. And this guy can actually really act. And I was like pleasantly surprised how good he was, because he didn't get the opportunity to do any acting in Doctor Who. And quite frankly, he was pretty poor in it. Well, that's more to do probably the writing, because the whole her tenure was just diabolical. But this guy is actually a pretty decent actor, and you just see how wasted he was in Her Run. Totally wasted as an actor. He's really, really good in this. So this basically sort of plays out that he has to find these individuals. As he finds them, they find out obviously they've all got powers, and yeah, it's all about trying to prevent the murder of his girlfriend. So I won't spoil it whether they manage to save her or not, because I want you to go watch this show. I think it's doing really well on Netflix right now. I think it's #1 in terms of the shows, which is great, because I really hope we get a season 2. You know, we were kind of left with as you'd expect, a bit of a cliffhanger. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think looking on IMDb, they're sort of saying, oh, it's being review bombed, but actually it's got 6.8 out of 10. So I don't think it is being review bombed. I think you got some idiots that have put some comments on there because it is an all black cast, which is just, there's always some idiots, right? But I think definitely give this show a go. I think the effects are very good. The sort of CGs, there's a couple of dodgy bits, but most in the main is quite good. But the world building, the character building is good. Say it is a little bit slow, it's a little bit ploddy getting to know all the characters, but do stick with it towards the end. Yes, of course, the big bads are all white. Rich and white, of course they are. But hey, I don't care. I enjoyed it. I think we're so used to TV, and you know, we don't expect anything else these days, you know. So yeah. So anyway, Supercell on Netflix. Obviously, it's all there, as they do drop their shows in one go. But I do go check it out. Let me know what you think. As ever, like, share, and subscribe, people. But let me know in the comments whether you've watched it. Did you like it? Do you have the same complaints? Or is it just really not your cup of tea? But give it a chance. And I'm hoping, yeah, we'll get a season 2 on this. So fingers crossed. Oh, God. So obviously I reviewed the first couple of episodes a couple of weeks ago. Sticking with it. I think episode 5... I think a lot of people have the same complaints that I did, you know, around the sort of the politics and kind of insulting like quite a big chunk of the American population. And those kind of bits of the show do let it down. But the story itself, I'm enjoying. And the sort of story arc of this season is good. And say episode 5, I actually really enjoyed it. There was like no politics in it at all. It was all about, obviously in the previous season, there was the virus that was developed that can kill the soups. So anybody with compound B, basically it attacks, and they die in very nasty ways. And various soups were being tested on. And the politician, the lady who made heads explode, I can't remember her name. Newman, is it? Yeah, she basically got her hands on the virus and was trying to develop something with the scientists, so to kill Homelander. So Butcher, working with Jeffrey Dean Morgan's character, and the rest of the gang kind of come up with a plan to steal the virus, and obviously use it on Homelander to get rid of him once and for all. There's a whole thing trying to find the scientists. When they find the scientists in the lab, everybody's like, looks like everybody's dead, and the animals, because it's like in this farmhouse, the animals have all kind of mutated, have been exposed to compound V, where they've obviously been experimenting. So you got like flying sheep and murdering chickens that just could like just pummel straight through you. It just explodes straight through you. So it's quite some funny bits in this one. But at the end of it, they manage to, they think everybody's dead. The lead scientist, they just basically find a leg and assume like the animals have eaten him, but they don't know where he's gone. Transpires that Butcher and Jeffrey Dean Morgan's character have kidnapped him, basically cut off his leg to make it look like he's dead, kidnapped him and telling him he needs to recreate the virus because all the vials have gone, because they had to use it on killing one of the animals, or killing the animals. Basically, they inject one of the corpses with the virus, chuck it outside, the animals eat the guy, and then they all die of the virus. So this week's episode is basically Butcher and Jeffrey Dean's character torturing the guy to get him to make the virus. Butcher's condition continues to deteriorate. And obviously he's still having visions of his dead wife, and she's sort of like his sort of moral compass kind of thing. And the team are continuing to try and figure out ways that they can take down Homelander. And there's a big party, and there's this sex dungeon chamber scene where poor Huey's in there pretending to be someone else and is being abused, shall we say. And Firecracker's got this obsession with Homelander. She just she loves him, and but again, she's sort of ostracized from the main suits because they just kind of look down on her, and she's basically been taking hormones so she can have breast milk, obviously without being pregnant. This is a thing that you can do, but she's done that knowing Homelander's kink, shall we say. And the end scenes is of her like breastfeeding Homelander. It's just like, oh my god, I just threw up in my mouth a little bit. It's like, eesh. But also in the previous episode, we've got a sort of side arc of Huey and his dad, obviously played by Simon Pegg, who was actually in the comics. Huey's character was based on Simon Pegg. He basically looks like Simon Pegg, so he kind of hence the cameo of playing Huey's dad in this. And he has a stroke and he's in hospital. And basically Huey's mother comes back on the scene. Obviously, she's not been in his life since he was a kid. She walked out on him and his dad, and it's all very fractious. He then finds out that she's actually got power of attorney and they're sort of saying that, your dad's so brain damaged, he's not going to wake up. And obviously the kindest thing to do is switch off the machines. So Huey blackmails A-Train into stealing some Compound V, and he's planning on giving it to his dad. But when he gets there, he sort of actually realizes that that isn't the right thing to do, knowing how dangerous Compound V is. And he goes out to get a coffee or something, and they're sort of planning on turning the machines off. So when he comes back in, his mum's taken the vial out of his coat and given it to his dad. So his dad wakes up, and initially he seems fine. But then he starts repeating himself, or he can't remember the conversation that he just had. And then he sees his estranged wife, but in his brain, he's like, why is she here? And he hates her, and he's going to kill her. And because he's forgotten that obviously they've reconciled, and now she's like they're in a good place. But then because of the Compound V, it also enables him to again, a bit like the Flash when he can vibrate, I guess, for lack of a better term, and sort of walk through walls and things. So he's kind of panicked and scared and running through walls, and then he ends up running through people or punching, taking their hearts out, and he's just covered in blood and he doesn't know where he is. And one minute he's okay, next minute he's like this psychopath. So basically they have to talk him down, and he's sort of obviously trying to kill his mum, but then he kind of gets his lucidity back, and he realizes what he's doing, and he's scared and he doesn't know what to do. So they basically kind of have to make the decision to euthanize him at the end of the day. And they Compound V is unpredictable at the best of times, but you put it into a damaged brain. This is kind of what happens. So it's quite sad, but but done very well, I thought. Very well. So it's still a bit of a mixed bag. So the actual story arc I'm enjoying. There's a bit of politics in it this week. They have this event or fundraiser, and it's like, well, how do you get into an alt-right event, and Homelander's there, and again there's conversations around abortion and things like that. And yeah, unnecessary, I feel. And yeah, it's a very extreme trope, I guess. I know, I don't really want to get into that, but you know, I think if you can kind of tune out of some of that stuff, the show itself is I'm still enjoying. Like you know, it does what it says on the tin. And then you know, we get a twist, we get a reveal at the end of episode 6 as to what's going on with Butcher. I mean, obviously we know he's got a massive brain tumor caused by the compound V, hence why he's seeing his wife. But then we find there's another twist this week, so go watch, see what the twist is. I say I didn't see it coming. I really didn't. So kudos. But yeah, I'm kind of enjoying it. Some of it is just really cringe, and you just kind of have to tune out of it, really. But the actual story, I'm enjoying. So a few more episodes to go. That's The Boys. Oh, hit the wrong button there. And I think that's it, peeps. Yeah, short and sweet. Rattle through those. So I managed to find a bit of time to catch up, or make sure I'm staying on top of my shows. All in all, pretty much all recommendations this week. You know, pretty good. Obviously, I haven't done a slide for it because I'm really not that bothered. But you know, we got the ratings for the final episode of the Doctor Who season 15 or season 1, depending on what side of the pond you're on. Boy, are they bad. The season finale was bad. I think it tops out at I think I read 3.7 million, I guess, with the +7s. Yeah, and there was a lot of criticism around the finale and what a damp squib it was. Basically, it's up mystery box stuff, and it all just turned out to be absolutely nothing. It was just a complete page out of Disney writing. It was like Ray Skywalker all over again. This is big, who is Ruby and who's her mother, and it's just turned out to be a nobody. It was like, oh great, brilliant. So that whole season was absolutely pointless. The big mystery box was she's nobody. So yeah, and a big like bringing Sutekh back and then done absolutely nothing with it. Complete waste of time. I know. Yeah, they're filming. I think they're filming or have filmed season 2. So it's not going to get any better, because obviously if it's done and in the can, you know, based on the feedback they've had on season 1, it's too late. They've already done and shot season 2, so we're just going to get a repeat of more crap, I think. You know, as I said, they've just humanized the Doctor too much. He cries every single episode. He doesn't really have the gravitas. I mean, I think he's an okay actor, but again, I don't think he has the gravitas to play the Doctor. He's got none of the personality traits of the Doctor. He's got none of the, you know, he always puts everybody else first. You know, he's safety and life is always secondary. In this season, he's so busy, like off flirting and pulling this guy, that he basically gets like really killed. Yeah, it's like brilliant. Well done. Yeah, he's got no concern for her whatsoever. So, but yeah, all in all, an absolutely dire season. Thank goodness it's over. And I think the only way it'll get a season 3 is because, again, they don't want to be seen to be cancelling a show with a lead that's a person of colour and LGBTQ plus IA. Right, so because that's Disney all over. But saying that, the dumpster fire that the Acolyte show just gets worse and worse and worse. I haven't continued watching it. I just watch other people's reviews of it because that's far more entertaining than watching the show itself. And wow, you really like it. Yeah, damages brain cells. I mean, it's so obvious. You can see where it's going. The plot lines are just, it's just whacking around the head with it. The characters are stupid, to the point of moronic. This show is just bad, top to bottom. It's a shame because there's some good actors in there who are just absolutely wasted on this show. but the writing is just so bad, and it's like this huge mystery. What's the big mystery? And we're like, what mystery? We don't care. It's like, do we care who killed the witches? Nah, not really. Have we just got two completely insufferable leads? Well, obviously one woman playing the character twice, but yes, it's just bad, out and out bad. And the shills are shilling, as they do for Doctor Who and the Acolyte. You know, they've got all their shields up of you know, why you know, the reasons why we don't like this show, of which none are actually the real reason of that it's shit. Hey ho, what can you say? And on that note, I'm gonna go. I don't want to waste any more valuable time talking or thinking about those shows, because it's just not worth the time or the effort. And as I say, I'm getting old, you know, I need to keep my brain cells intact. So hey ho, have a great week. Do let me know your thoughts. Have you watched Supercell? Did you like Beverly Hills Cop? Do you think I'm just like, what are you on about? These shows are awful. Well, let me know. I love to see your comments. I do generally reply. Obviously, it's taking me a bit longer at the moment. So yeah, let me know what you think. Oh, and Paul, you left me some comments a while ago. Beacon 23 is now on Paramount Plus here, and I will be checking that out as per your recommendation. So I'll let you know what I think soon. Anywho, I'm going to get going. My stomach's rumbling. It's time for some Sunday lunch. No, anyway, have a great week. I say I'll try and be back next weekend, but I know I've got a very busy week and a lot on. I'll do my best. If not, I'll see you when I see you. You all take care.